These are exclusive games that Common has made or sourced in some shape or form. Why would operators offer exclusive games? One of the main reasons is that operators in the space, they compete against each other with exactly the same content. Like everybody has Pragmatic, everybody has Evolution, everybody has Sprint Studios. So it's really hard to differentiate when you are in that kind of situation. So what do some operators do? They actually spend the effort and time and money to acquire some sort of exclusive content, either by getting the exclusive content from an existing partner or from building it themselves. How to use that content is then a different story. Like if we look at the example of this one, Euro, Sing and Win, since these are very specific flags within Eurovision, I'm gonna assume that Common is big in Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Germany and Norway. So then the question is, why does Common put the effort in making this type of game? So they've basically taken the concept of Starburst. It's also very similar in music, by the way. But they've taken the game feature of Starburst and then added on top a free spins bonus round. Now, why do they choose this theme? Well, this theme is very relevant at the moment because there is a Eurovision coming on in May. And the way that I imagine Common is using this type of game is to basically advertise on Aftonbladet and likewise kind of newspaper websites in the countries that are pictured here in the flags, where they try to target probably the 40 to 50 plus even female category to get some sort of recognition and appeal, where you try to combine the Eurovision with gambling. If you want to go and appeal for the males, then you're probably gonna be focusing on sports betting and saying like, okay, if you place a bet on Finland to win, you will get 100x your money or whatever. I'm not sure if Finland is even good this year. So this is purely a marketing exercise. You have a slot that is super basic for beginners that you try to use as an acquisition tool to get players to come onto your site that maybe probably have never really played before, or when they have played, it's only on the ferries that go from Stockholm to Riga and whatnot. So that would be my take on this one. So extremely basic. I only have a ×1 multiplier. I got 10 free spins. This is basically like playing slots in 2007. Now the issue that I have is when you do stuff like this, it makes complete sense. You have a marketing approach with it. There's a good reason why you have designed the slot the way that it is, both from a gameplay and from an artist perspective. But I am a very seasoned slots player, and this slot got pushed to me as well. And then I think you're making a mistake, because people only have a certain amount of slots that they will try out. You have to maximize the chance that people will like the slot that you try to push to them. So pushing something like this that is completely not relevant to my demographic, I could not care less about Eurovision. I'll watch it, I have to. Every man in a healthy relationship is probably in my position. However, to then spend my free time and playing a Eurovision slot, which is just basically some flags in a pretty lame surrounding, it's not for me. So that's a mistake. Okay, so the game is basically a copy of the Asgard Bonanza game by Pragmatic Play. And that's another reason to take exclusive games, is where you recognize as an operator that you have a disproportionate amount of your revenues coming on a handful of games, and then you try to basically tap into that revenue stream by making your own exclusive game that uses the same gameplay mechanic but then just a different theme. Now what this does is that it basically makes you less reliant on a supplier, which is good, and it also allows you to lower your overall operating cost. Because if you would be paying that supplier, let's say 5% of all the revenues that you generate on that game, but then you are going to make an exclusive game with a partner that allows for a much lower revenue share, or maybe just the cash up front, then you've basically, if you are successful in cannibalizing that other title, then you basically reduce your costs by quite a lot. Now, from a player perspective, it's not bad because it allows you to have an alternative. You already like the game. Now you have a extremely similar game because it's a copy. But you have the choice to just, expand and play that. So you're not always want to be seeing Candy maybe. Now you want to see some Vikings. Sure, go ahead. Now, is it a good game? That's the question. I'm already not a fan of Sweet Bonanza. I just don't like it. But I can see that it's extremely similar. Graphic-wise, this one isn't, anything special. It's an extremely basic surroundings. The symbols as such are also very, very, very basic. There's a good symbol hierarchy. It's very clear, at least in terms of what your expected value is from the different potential wins. The actual real stops are driving me crazy. There's no reason that they have to be so loud and so metallic. It just does not encourage for long playing sessions. Genuinely feel like my ear is gonna bleed if I play this more than 100 spins. It's also very slow. So is this worthy of the top position in we recommend? I don't know. I think it highly depends on just how much of their revenues is generated by Sweet Bonanza and Pragmatic. But is it worth it to put it on such a prime position and push it to somebody that's never even played Sweet Bonanza? No, I don't think so. I think if you're not a Sweet Bonanza fan, there's nothing that makes you want to really enjoy this game because it's just not good enough. It doesn't gel as well as a well-produced slot. Another thing that is actually quite weird about this game is the background music. It's more of like a tiki volcano island theme game music, not necessarily Asgard music. Strange. So this is a classic game that you make for a specific market. So you want to appeal to Norwegian players, you make a Jackpot Joker game. And you use this in your marketing. You try to basically make people, considering that this is a game that they play offline, they can play it online. Even though there's other games like it already, it's valuable to have your own exclusive game as an operator because it just allows you to stand out a little bit more. And somebody that has maybe played a lot of the other Jackpot Joker games, they want to try a new one, they just like that type of game, it makes sense. This is the same terrible Tiki Island volcano music that they're using in the Asgard Bonanza. And it's the same kind of imagery used as in that game. I think this actually shows a bit of lack of respect towards us as a player. Like this is basically the attitude of slots are commodities. Like we could throw whatever we want at a player and they will still play it. Now, if that is actually the case and this has worked, then it's a very, very sad state of our industry.